going to then, be required to check with the village first. Who is that going to be, and if it's not one of us, which none of us have,
Exactly.
do we pay for it, and where is that going to come from? And then, because we're asking them to determine a certain level of grade when it comes to the clearing of property.
We do that now, agree.
We do it for them? At no cost?
Yep.
Okay.
It's for the permit, when they're doing some kind of construction, things, change the grade, we go out there to see the way it's flowing and stuff.
Will we do that when, I'm kind of walking through the law, that was the issue that I had, is, how is this gonna play out if you walk it through from beginning to end? And if somebody says, I'm thinking of taking down this tree,
Right.
and then they talked about the size of the roof, that's what I had on the
Diagram.
So, who's going to measure that, and how's it going to be measured, and how is that going to be done uniformly, and what kind of appeal process would they have in place? That's crazy, it's just a little tree. And, so just walking it through, it became much more complicated. So my recommendation last time was to say, all right, let's just focus on certain things first, which is clearing, something that everybody can get around.
Right.
And what kind of a tree can you take down, and what kind of tree is considered pruning, see if we can do that. The problem that Mike said, is that in some other laws, state law or something like that, they use the term large tree for that little 12-inch circumference.
Town does.
It's uniform. So he said, in order for us to be on board with all these other laws that we have to comply with, he said, we don't have a lot of room to do that. But I mean, everybody who attended that meeting said, a large tree with a 12-inch circumference of a 4-inch tree is like, it's pretty. So anyway.
So they're still working on it then?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, so we'll just get an update then for next month.
I have some input. I took some pictures of the tree on Chestnut that fell down. The tree on the outside looks perfectly
Fine.
normal. And there's this thing is rotten, like 5.5 feet up, and the bottom part of it is totally, there's nothing, there's no roots or anything. And that's 3/4 of these trees in the village. They're all like this.
I'm amazed when some of these guys go and they take a look at a tree and they say it's diseased. And somehow they do find some of the trees,
Right.
but so many of them they didn't. Even after we did all of our clearing, we had those other trees come down and they were fine. So it's kind of hard to know what.
The problem is that these trees are not made to be 80 and 100 years old, and many of them are. And, they're all rotten.
Well,
you look at the outside of the tree, it looks fine. But then you sit down there and you start taking them down. Vinny had the same problem when he did his. And he's got one that's left in his mailbox, a foot and a half off the road. That thing, you can stick an ice pick right through the tree. It's coming up.
there are some trees that we would all agree on, but the issue with the tree law, getting back to the tree law, is that somebody, an authority, an arborist, or somebody's going to have to have the credentials. And even under the best of circumstances, as you're pointing out, there are some trees that they look fine, and even the most trained guy, it seems to not understand or be able to discern that there's a problem with the roots or something like that, it's going to come down. So if somebody says, my tree is diseased and it has to come down, how are we going to say, oh no, that's a healthy tree, and you can't take it down?
That's why I'm against the law.
Well, we need to have something, but
we're trying to sit down and get into something. And what happens when that tree falls down on somebody's house? Are we going to get sued for it? You told me I couldn't take it down, and now it's on my.
well, there are all of these other considerations in the law, and that's why I said let's stick to simple clearing and something that's obvious. These trees that have hidden disease is going to drive all of us nuts. the bigger issue, I think, is that if we make a law that says, this has got the root structure, what Mike was telling me was that the roots hold the hill and absorb a certain amount of pollutants, and it's tied in with all the runoff issues. He said, so that if you take a large tree, and that's why they have that definition of this being a large tree, because some of them have such a root ball that it's necessary to hold the hill and also absorb pollutants that would otherwise run into the waterways. So what he's saying is, we have to include that. We have to include how it affects the terrain in any issue about not taking down trees. And I'm thinking, well, this is a nightmare. If we try to legislate that, that's gonna be like, I don't know where it would end.
Yeah,
So,
I think they looked at this a couple of years ago and
I think at this
Didn't go through
point, we just leave things alone. The more you sit down and try to legislate laws to this, I mean, it just gets to the point where do you stop?
well, my thinking is, and, you know, we'll obviously have to kick it out once they give us something. Clearing a lot, that was an issue that came up right down in Block, you know, just coming in and clearing a lot. Things like taking down healthy trees that don't present a problem.
I know
You
that.
know, well, if we have a tree in the middle of a, like, we're gonna be facing this. You know, take a look at some of the trees in the park. You have a nice big tree, but it's kind of in the way. It's preventing the people who have the plots from getting sunshine, which is the idea of it. So, are we gonna violate our own law? I don't think it would be a problem to take down a tree that's,
no, I agree.
you know, we could do that. So there's some things that I think we could all agree on, and we can get something on the books. I don't think we're gonna solve all of the runoff issues, all the things that they're trying to do under one law. It's just a nightmare, but I think we can just get something simple. We can all agree on it. Anyway, they're working on it, so when they bring it to us, we'll try to review it.
Okay. So, I'll put that on for next month. All right, number 2, you will have a draft on Nelson Pickle Boys that I made copies of today, just sent it over yesterday. The feasibility study. Everybody wants to review this for next month, and then we could, if you have any questions, Chick said you can email him. But basically, it just tells you, you know, where they think the best place would be if we decide to go through with it. He talked to the harbor master, he spoke to the village of Port Jeff, spoke to the town of Brookhaven, he spoke to Suffolk County. So, the DEC is, he spoke to all of them to see what they require, and, you know, he's ready for, after we review this, any issues or comments that we have, we can send to him, and then he can send us a proposal for the next steps, which would be what it would cost for permitting for everybody, and what the cost would be for the actual dock, which he's working with Mike. But in order to do that, he said he wants everyone to read this first, go through it. He gave me like kind of an overview the other night, and then sent me the final copy. And then next month, he'll come and he'll present here to us his proposal and what it will cost. So, but it's up there. It's like over $10,000 for permits.
And he's gonna come up with any construction costs
As well.
as well?
Mhm. That will be the next phase.
So, and then the phase after that would be, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth about who's in favor of it. I'm sure that costs would enter into it.
Mhm.
So that,
This is the first part of the feasibility study. The next part is the cost.
so, I guess we'll wait for that, but my thinking is that the next thing after that would then be, well, if it was estimated to cost this much, would the various ways that this thing would be funded to not cost the village money, are they in the same ballpark?
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
that's where we would then end it.
So he, like he said, it's at least a year to get the permits, and you're talking over $10,000. But the town is in favor of it. Village of Port Jeff has no problem with it. Belterra is thinking of doing the same thing. So he spoke to DEC. that, that's the next step to find out how much it's gonna cost. So he'll come to the, April meeting, he'll talk about this, and then also, let us know what the cost is gonna be, the next phase.
So what did it cost us for the engineer to do this?
He didn't give us a bill yet, but it was in last month's meeting minutes, I think, it was in it. I'll look and see.
Okay.
It was a couple $1,000, I think. Okay, so this number 3 will also be tabled to next month, because the planning board is redoing their changes that they want for the, redux in the village, and they're going to fix the law, and then present the law to us to review. So, Roger said, since I didn't meet last month, this month when they do it, they'll send us all a copy of it to look at it, once they put their changes in. So it's gonna be next month, too. Number 4, we're almost finished with the budget. We've sent over all the stuff to Don. He's gonna send it back for now. We start putting the computer. But, after the budget, Don's gonna be leaving. He took a job with R.S. Abrams, which is our auditing company. So he's, as a favor, gonna pretty much see us through the budget part, and then we have to start interviewing for a new treasurer. Okay. Natalie is sick, and we're working with her each week to see how she does. And until she tells us she can't do the job anymore, we won't interview anyone for the bookkeeping job until then. Okay. She's home until Thursday, then she'll go to the hospital, she's surgery, so.
Would it be okay if somehow we started a little sooner to help transition? I mean, it sounds like this is going to lose on it. I mean, she's been doing it a while, it's pretty.
I've asked her for recommendations for people that she thinks that could do it, and same thing with Don. We have a couple more, we have people that do other villages and see what their schedule is, and we could, look at all those.
So you think a qualified person wouldn't necessarily need to have a kind of. I think they have. It just seems to me that, you would want to have it, whether or not. It's kind of bad to do.
I mean, she'll be here next week, and so far she's been coming in each week. She's just changing the days based on what her schedule is. But she showed Joe how to do a couple of things. Joe can run payroll. Okay. Harry, update on Trustees Park. Did 4D get back in touch with you?
4D did meet with me. He's drawing up this proposal. He said it would take a couple of weeks.
Okay.
We met 2 weeks ago. Hospice on Long Island Street came in. He has an updated crew now, so that he has 2 crews working together. $2,500 a day. He said he needs 2 to 3 days, depending on exactly what we want done.
Okay, and the swing set. So did we determine if we can go with wood or?
Well, it's best, we have to really compare notes, but we work in parallel, and as best as I can determine, there is no law, but there are guidelines from, the government uses these guidelines that is from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. This is a public playground safety handbook. It's pretty extensive, but it doesn't rule out wood. So I was talking to Joe about, well, what does our insurance company say? If it's not against the law, do they have some recommendations? And we have to kind of confer on that. I don't see anybody telling us we couldn't do it because we had it.
Right.
So, there's quality products out there. And if we could, plus I personally think that wood is a nicer medium for the kids to climb on than cold metal. You can do it. So, if we can save money I would opt for that because, I think it's a win-win. Positive. Well, believe it or not, the biggest thing, you talk about upkeep, the biggest thing that is mentioned is not the equipment itself. When it comes to liability, and which of course follows the incidence of injuries, it's the surface. And that you have to continually replenish that surface. And, you know, it disintegrates, it gets kicked away under the swings and whatever, and we have to figure out how we would do that. But it's not a big deal. Every so often you have to spring for a new delivery.
One shift or whatever it is, yeah.
But that's how kids get hurt, and that's where the lawsuits follow. And they have all these lawsuits that went through the courts, and the courts found, and all that kind of thing. And it really comes down to staying on top of the stuff. So whether it's wood or it's anything else, kids get hurt, who's involved? And, you know, there's certain things that we can do. So I don't really think that the issue of what we choose is going to be a problem. I think we should just get something that's going to hold up and going to be a nice performance. We'll save money from the go.
Are there enough kids that use that equipment?
Yeah, I walk through the park all the time, and
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, it just needs to be cleaned up and, you know, fixed.
Have you gone and gotten any prices?
No, I haven't actually gotten prices. We're just talking about, well, what are we gonna price out? What are we talking about? We're talking about a whole new system, or we're talking about going over to an aluminum,
There's a big difference between wood
big
and
difference.
aluminum,
Yeah.
big difference.
Or
Like $15,000 difference. So
when,
we,
when it comes time to sit down and actually go and price this stuff, I have a relationship with Andre from Gillen Garden. And if I walk in there and say that, you know, I want it, he'll sit down there and give a better price than he did off the street and say, give me a price.
Okay.
well, first we have to find out if we can do it, and hopefully we can. So we took for the budget, one of the things we did is we moved the money from the other parks to Trustees Park, so that we can finish it, you know, spring or May, you know, finish it up, so. Because the other parks didn't really need it, so. Okay, and what did Mike say about the greenhouse? He's gonna keep, he said he was gonna keep the shed part, right?
Both. He said that, he doesn't feel that it is, beyond repair. And he said the repair of it would be way cheaper than the demolition, which is what I was concerned about, with all the pipes and things that go into the greenhouse. And even fixing the greenhouse, I took a second look at it. They're all broken windows, they're flat windows. We don't need to go to Four Seasons and get special keys or whatever, so we can just replace that. So the thinking is that we should budget for it. It's not a lot of money, but you add it all up, it's probably a couple $1,000. And fix up the shed, secure it, which means the glass wall between the greenhouse and the shed should be enclosed with a steel door, so that on both sides that's open, so we can secure that. There's some issues with rot in the corner and the roof leaks, but he said it's a slate roof, you're still better off just, fixing it and not replacing all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, there was some sentiment in the room about keeping it. I think it's a nice feature, even if nobody uses it.
Right.
But we need to do something, so I definitely would want to see some money allocated towards that.
Okay.
stuff.
Anything else with Trustees Park?
Well, just getting back to the trees, before we start to sign up for people to start clearing or whatever, maybe we could walk, because there's some healthy trees. I'd like to not be the one person making those decisions, because somebody will have something to say. There's small trees growing up in some of the plots. And I don't know what they are and whether they're somebody's, or, a lot of these are just wild weeds that are growing in there, but there's a couple of trees that I would like to take out, but I think there should be some consensus on this problem. I mean, there's a peach tree that's been there for many years, but it's in the shade now, the big tree, so I think it should come out. And there's a couple of trees around the shed that I think need to be removed, so.
All the plots are taken, there's 13 of them, they're all taken, so that's, people want that.
Well, some of those trees, especially the one right at the corner there, is big enough that it intrudes on the other people's plots. If the person who had that plot said, no, I still want it, it's not fair to the next person who gets no sun.
Right.
There's a possibility that we could make an emergency access through there from White Pine to Birchwood. I have had a lot of people sit down there and meet, and they want something where they could get through if it had to be. I looked at it with Mike from Land 4D, and he said there's a couple plots right, I think there's 4 of them, right down through the middle. And if we remove them and move them, and there are places to put them, we could have an emergency access through from one side to the other. And a lot of people sat down and brought it up there. When they had the fire down here, they were all trapped in here. And the same thing with the storm last year. You know, what happens if something is blocked over there and we can't get out?
Mhm.
I think it's worth looking into. I know it's an inconvenience for probably those 4 people that have them, but I think it's worthwhile that we sit down there and have some kind of access through there. An ambulance, you know, maybe, or police car, or just, you know, if something blocks the people in, at least they can get out.
When he's working on the design, is he gonna try to include that in there?
Yeah. The area that he was talking about, where the cart is, he said first off, he would move that cart and put it up on that little hill, right as you come in, as you turn into the parking lot.
Mhm.
That little hill that's a little bit higher, that's where he would put that and make that like a focal point of the area. You know, redo it. I think either David or a project that some of the people in the
I was
village
thinking
that
of doing that myself.
are
It needs
carpenters.
a new box, it's just simple.
Yeah, it's not a big thing, but it could be made to look really decent, and it could be the, you know, center point up there. And where the bike rack is in that line, I think there's 4 of them. And if we just took them out, we'd have an emergency access.
Is it possible, you know, emergencies happen every remove. It's not gonna happen so much that these plots are going to be trampled all the time. Is it possible to keep the plots and have a more circuitous route that goes around the back of the shed? Because it's so clear, it's flat.
You're not gonna get an ambulance or even a fire truck, with a caddy, anything that's gonna go behind the greenhouse. It's not gonna happen, there's not enough room there.
It's still gonna be a big expense though.
And then you know, I'm not looking to make a road. It's just a way that you can drive out, yeah. It may sit down there and screw the lawn up a little bit, so you rake it out and you put the grass seed down there. But in an emergency, at least you'd have that kind of access.
So in a real emergency, let's suppose every couple of years, something like that happens.
Can I ask, did it ever happen?
And
Yeah,
somebody
well, it
has
happened
to,
last year.
somebody has to replant their begonias or something. I mean, where's the big deal? As long as we don't have a physical barrier, if we have the.
You can't drive through those boxes out there.
Are
People
they all
have-
boxed in?
They're,
They're all boxed
yeah,
in.
they're all boxed in, and people have tomato plant things in it and whatnot. You can't drive through that. You have, if you're gonna do it, you move it.
All right, well, let's take a look at it, because,
Okay.
you know, we're talking about moving some trees out of the way. I'm just thinking at the far side there, most of those, this side of the shed, there seems to be enough of an area there that maybe we could.
You have to cut down a lot of stuff.
Well, let's see, I really can't
I
picture
mean,
my.
this is why, you know, when we looked at it, we looked at it for a couple hours. And that seems to be the just easiest way without having to remove trees or, you know, anything
But
else.
without the plots, for, you know, all the years that go by where this never comes up, what would be in the middle of that whole area? Nothing?
Grass. It was just be so that he could, if it came down to it. Who knows? When we had the fire here, everybody that was down here was stuck.
No, I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I think probably most people would agree we need an emergency egress for the employees. So, you know, the liability, I think is needed.
And none of us are getting younger. So you never know when,
Yeah, when Washington was blocked, that was
Yeah.
kind of dangerous, that everybody
Yeah.
down that block and all the adjoining blocks.
you know,
You couldn't get out.
is it a, cure-all for everything? No, but it certainly would be, you never know what's gonna happen. If one tree falls down, nobody can get in it.
No, I don't think anybody's arguing with you. I'm just saying
No, I realize that.
that, I mean, water plots were gobbled up. It's a nice feature of the village. 19 years out of 20, we're not going to be having emergency vehicles going through there. It's just in the
Oh, we
what if
had-
type of a situation.
We had a bunch of them last year. So maybe it doesn't happen,
Yeah,
but
but no, I'm just saying, that if we can somehow not lose plots. I
well,
would
actually, we
appreciate it.
wouldn't
have
be
to do
losing them because there's enough places out there that they could, move only a few feet and they'd have
All right, okay, well, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, let's see what he comes up with. And go from there. Okay. Anything else you guys think? Village Hall, what's the date, Joe, is it April 4th?
Yeah,
April
the
4th.
first Monday in April.
Village Hall is only gonna be open till 3 o'clock, Monday through Thursday, so 9 to 3, Monday through Thursday. And we're doing that to save money for the budget. And what was the amount? It was a couple $1,000, right?
Yeah. It's $100 a week times 50 weeks,
Yeah.
$5,000.
nice thing.
Jeff, do you wanna talk about that, even though it's, not a point now? It was already on there right after you told me.
Yeah, it's, I wish I would have seen that right away. It would have saved a lot of enthusiasm and time. Those of you who don't know, there's money out there for hazard mitigation assistance, which is to remedy properties in low-lying areas that repeatedly, as we have more and more of these storms, repeatedly get damaged and cost people money. They're buying up properties, they're offering the municipalities money to kind of change low-lying areas and whatever. So maybe it might be something that we could use. I looked into it, we had some ideas, we kicked around some ideas for some of the low-lying areas, the foot of Walnut, and maybe incorporate that into some of the ideas that people had for the beach. And Rich Parrish and I talked about possibly incorporating some of the runoff issues, because that area floods. And anyway, we got all worked up over it, and then it turns out that this is really limited to this round, and it holds out hope that there'll be future opportunities, but this round is limited to buying up properties. Some of these communities on the South Shore that have been flooded and they can't sell them, and it's to buy out certain areas, and I don't know if they can do that, they're in worse shape than we are. This would be an excellent thing for us to, anyway, long story short, it's another issue right now, so I'm not going anywhere with it.
John, transportation.
Yeah, I looked into it, I got your email, and then I looked at the email that you forwarded to me from Lee Zeldin's office. And it did mention in there that the minimum title grant amount for urban projects in this round is $5 million.
Okay.
But I checked further just to be sure, and it turns out that actually the project itself has to cost $6.25 million, of which we might get $5 million towards it. So I really don't think it applies to us.
No.
Okay.
We don't have 6 million lying around there.
Okay, so the master plan for the village was done in, May of 2011 and June of 2011. So I, talked to Suffolk County Planning Department, and they said that the master plan was never submitted to them. So we need to submit it to them. I spoke to Chick said you have to submit it to them as well. And the issue with it is that it was edited from the May version to the June version to eliminate on 2 different pages a community doc from the data that came back. So Chick sent me the 2 pages that were originally done that say that the residents wanted to install a dock. And we'll submit this with the June version with the 2 pages that were edited. And I'm gonna
Well, we haven't really done that. I'm uncomfortable stating that the residents want it.
You know,
We're
it's not it's the data that came back from the survey that they put together. It was sent out to all the residents.
Well, wasn't there something about how it was a non-representative survey and people wanted a survey? I don't know. Really
Well,
remember.
people said that, but this is what the master plan was. It was sent out to all the houses. The data was collected. Then the data was changed, I'm not sure by who, to reflect maybe what that person or persons wanted. And then it should have been submitted, but it wasn't.
Well, maybe it's a matter of wording. I don't really want to wade into the whole issue right now, but I'm just saying that
Well,
we're going to
it's not
resubmit.
wording. I'll show you the.
So it has to be verbatim from what the original part of the plan
Well,
stated?
this was supposed to be edited for, grammar, probably, or if something was not correct.
Mhm.
But when it says the residents wish to continue and recognize the village, and that there is an interest in respect to bathing beach, bathing facility, as well as the potential for a village dock, and it's circled and says delete, and then the new version deleted it.
No, that's fine. This is
Okay.
exactly what the way you said it was not what you just read.
Well, I was trying
So
to be
if it
nice.
said that
Then-
there's some interest in these other issues, that's where we go.
Right,
That's
and
it.
then the data reflected that investigating and possibly installing a dock for the village residents,
That's
okay?
fine. That's what I'm
And
saying.
that was taken out as well, so,
Okay, I just don't want to make a declarative statement that we're the villagers want this and we're not at that stage.
right, we're just submitting
And
this to
so
the
if we
planning.
get- So if there, it is an issue before the village and we are considering it, and they should know that we're considering it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean, we don't wanna say it in such a declarative way as to make it seem.
I mean, I don't know what, this had to cost a couple $1,000s for them to do the survey and the master plan.
Mhm.
So, it's done, like that's why you do it. It was done in 2011, we shouldn't redo it.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that it should be stated accurately where we owe it.
So who would have been able to change that?
I don't know, I wasn't here then,
Oh, me neither, but
okay. So, I don't know.
sounds to me like the previous board.
Yeah, I don't know who worked on it.
It
So, Chick said that he will have, he'll notify Joe and Phil, and they can just submit it to Suffolk County. Okay. Okay, Joe, do you wanna talk about the, increase in,
Yes. Okay, excuse me, I just wanted to point out, when we do that, excuse me for 1 second, when we do that, there's other steps that we have to take regarding the master plan. We have to do secret and, other procedures
okay,
once the county reviews it.
okay.
Thank you.